2 hours into the mission, the spacecraft accelerates towards orbit.
Altitude is 100 miles, downrange 883 miles. Outboard engine cutoff.
And ignition. Ignition confirmed. Thrust is go, 11.
This view is inside the exhausted part of the rocket. Apollo 11 is traveling faster than 6,300 miles an hour. Now you and the vehicle containing this camera will slowly fall into the North Atlantic.
Apollo 11, this is Houston. You are confirmed to go for orbit. 4 by 103.6.
Apollo is going at 17,400 miles an hour in orbit around the Earth. It circles the Earth almost twice, and then the third stage fires again. Apollo 11 is now free of Earth's gravity. There are 3 remaining parts to the spacecraft. The astronauts are in the very front of what's called the command module. The LEM, the vehicle that would put them on the moon, is in the next section. The third part is just holding the LEM. What they must do is turn the command module around and gain access to the LEM. The blueprint looked simple. In space, it was another matter. Both vehicles are moving at 17,400 miles an hour, but that's if you're measuring from Earth. In space, they're closing cautiously at a couple of feet per second. The target is that black circle in the center. The first part of the move was by computer, but the computer had made an error of 34 feet and control of the spacecraft was taken over by Mike Collins. At the end of the link-up, they're moving at fractions of an inch per second. The probe touches the lander. The metal locks click together. Docking complete. For 3 days, they coast towards the moon. As the moon's gravity reaches out, they accelerate.
11 Houston, we have a beautiful rainbow there, and as you move the camera around, that looks like the star chart coming into view now, over.
Like the first voyagers who went to the seas, the first voyagers who went to the moon relied on the stars in heaven to get them there. That's a chart of the stars they'd see on their voyage, illuminated from the rear by the sunlight coming through their cabin. A few hours after launch, America saw a relaxed face of an astronaut.
It's Big Mike Collins there.
Well, you got a little bit of... Yeah, hello there, sports fans. You got a little bit of me, but Neil's in the center couch and Buzz is doing the camera work this time.
The camera makes the cabin seem larger than it is. Each of these men has less space than a passenger in the average automobile. And their ride was 500,000 miles long. These cramped quarters would serve as a TV studio, a music booth, a kitchen, a bedroom, a bathroom, a gym, and a clubhouse. Now for almost 3 days, except for small engineering tasks, it would be a lazy ride to the moon in zero gravity. When there is no gravity, things float rather than fall.
The zero G is very comfortable, but after a while you get to the point where you sort of get tired of rattling around and banging off the ceiling and the floor and the side, so you tend to find a little corner somewhere and put your knees up or something like that to wedge yourself in, and that seems more at home.
That's a piece of white bread rising. Buzz Aldrin is making a sandwich with ham spread. As the can drifts away, Mike Collins just pushes it back.
We've discovered that it is quite easy to
These simple human touches were necessary because most things surrounding this voyage were so technical as to be incomprehensible to ordinary people.
Houston, this next is a little demonstration for the kids at home, all kids everywhere for that matter.
In space, water doesn't drip or spill. It becomes a ball held down by a spoon. Mike Collins played with water as if it were a toy.
Oh, Apollo 11, Houston, you can terminate TV at your convenience. We've got enough tape.
That's Neil Armstrong, upside down, sleeping. Of the three astronauts, he slept least and spoke least. There's no record of his dreams.
Roger, Charlie.
There's no record of America's dreams that night either. We were a troubled country because we were at war, what seemed to be an endless war.
Travis Air Force Base, San Francisco. In July 1969, the machine of history was not Apollo 11, but the Vietnam War. They had left Da Nang and Yokota a day earlier, and when they arrived, they were part of 250,000 wounded who had returned from Southeast Asia. Even before July 1969, Vietnam had become the longest war in American history. The best we could do was a kind of institutionalized compassion. They were handled with gentleness, but on a production line. It would take 6 more years for the war to end.
Gentlemen, give me your attention for a couple of minutes, please. I believe we can answer some questions for all of you. These remarks are primarily directed toward those of you returning from a live fire area in casualty status. Comments pertain to all services, gentlemen. Now, when you left the live fire area, most of you left all or at least a part of your personal gear behind. Please bear in mind, gentlemen, the only way old Uncle Sam can repay you for your personal property which has been lost is for you to submit a claim to the government for reimbursement. Are there any questions on this, gentlemen? Now, of course, the $64 question to everybody is, what's the score on convalescent leave? This is a free ride, not chargeable to you in any way. So as soon as you can convince the doctors and the nurses at the station you're going to that you're healthy, you're full of fun and games, you can take care of yourself, you have no problems, you'll be no problem to your dependents, you have to actually convince this doctor that you can stand the wear and tear of 30 days on the economy. Any questions on convalescent leave? The tax exemption that you all enjoyed in the live fire area, gentlemen, will continue for so long as you remain in the hospital. So when you start to make out these stateside income taxes, be mighty certain that you take full advantage of all the exemptions you're entitled to. Exemptions are mighty hard to come by in the States, gentlemen, so use what you brought with you. Now, are there any questions, gentlemen, on anything